Hi, my name is Sue Jeffers. This is my last Meet the Candidates before the election. I want to remind everyone, get out and vote. You cannot expect something different to happen if you don't throw these bums out, bring some new candidates in who will look out for us, represent us, and put Minnesota back on the path to success. Tim Utes, our last, 14 months later, our last one.
Months. Yes, we've been going at it for quite a while, Sue.
It's been a blast.
Yes, it has.
Running a campaign, it's so much hard work. It's a roller coaster, up and down. You learn so much, you meet so many people, but it's the experience of a lifetime.
I can remember 2 years ago after the election in '08, and I looked at the calendar, 700 and some odd days, and I'm thinking, man, this day is never going to get here. We're down to 26 days, and so I'm like, I'm feeling confident. We're having a lot of fun, but it's hyperventilating. It still happens to every candidate. Until the final votes are counted, you don't know where you're at. So I'm excited.
But you're still out every day or almost every day on your bus. You're still out meeting.
5-6 days a week we're out. Yep.
Meeting candidates or meeting the people, having them get to know the candidate. Yes. And I saw one of your debates. It was phenomenal.
Oh, you liked it? Well, that's good. Good. Some of my staff thought I needed to step it up a little bit, but...
Well, it's always good to smile a little bit. Maybe it was just that your opponent was so lackluster that I mean, you were obviously the best candidate to pick.
I had the best relevant conversation and content to talk about, so yeah.
And content's important.
Yes.
You know, everybody goes out, oh, she's so nice. Great, she's a very nice person, but she's been there too long, and she isn't looking out for the people of the district.
No, she is, neighborly wise, great person. Politically, she's way, way, way left of left. So yeah, that's an issue for us.
So you have some thank yous for people?
Oh yes, I do today. A couple shows ago, I went through my campaign staff, and I had a list, and for some reason, I forgot Mona Anderson.
How can you forget Mona, the best cook in the world?
We live across from each other right now, so I don't know how I forgot her. But she's been around for about almost 2 years now. Pretty close to, I think, 2 years. Her and Chris, her friend. And between the two of them, they've been right there at our side. Mona and I, we have our battles that we go through and whatever else.
So do you and I.
Yeah, we have ours, yeah. But she's been there, and she took off the cable show that we started. She was part of that, but then she expanded it into all these other candidates. So you've got your own little empire going with her on the side. That's what I call on the side because our show was the first one.
Right.
So it's been exciting to watch all these other candidates come in and get involved. But Mona Anderson has been there. She goes out with me almost every day. We argue, fuss, and fight. A lot of people think we're married to each other, and I make sure that everybody knows we're not married. My wife is sitting at home.
Your beautiful wife, Nadine.
My wife is being home, being mom, being grandma. That's her job, and she's doing a good job of that. So Mona Anderson
and you couldn't do it without the help of Mona and all the people on your staff and Nadine and your family support.
Without Nadine putting up with this, I wouldn't be running for office. And from there, it's all the other people that have been involved in our campaign. Like I've said before, we got 22 people that help us in a variety of ways that are actually volunteers, and I'm blessed. I don't realize that because I've never run for office before, but everybody I talk to who are running for state house got 4 people, their wife, the dog, and the neighbor kid. So I'm blessed with a lot of brilliant talent. And Mona's a salesperson. She sells Jafra. That's her thing. And so she took off the last 2 years to actually help me run for office, and she goes out and sells this campaign. That's her talent. So anyway, that was Mona. So Mona, wherever you are out there, I just want to let you know I thank you for all your support and all your help. And even though we don't always see eye to eye, and I'm always right. I'm glad you're there.
Okay, I got to challenge that. This wouldn't happen without Mona, who does do all this hard work.
Right.
But I got to say, Mona and I are always right.
Well, men let the women think they're always right, and then we go to the club and talk about how we are.
All right, you're smarter. No, keep going.
All right, what was the next? What we got?
You want to thank Bob Auden and the staff here?
Yes, I want to talk about the cable show. We were trying to do this in Columbia Heights, and they were not interested. Politically, they were in a position where they just had no interest in doing cable shows for a Republican. So we did some research, went around. Bob Auden stepped forward because he wanted to get more into production and being a director, and so he took off with this. And like I said, Mona and him basically started their own empire, which is fun. I don't have to be a part of it. I can go out and campaign. It was Bob Auden,
which is what you should be doing because you're running for a representative.
Right. I'm not running to be a director.
Right.
So Bob Otten got involved in this process, and he's been there from the beginning. He is running for mayor of City Council, or excuse me, mayor of Columbia Heights, if anybody wants to vote for him. And then there's other staff that I don't know all their names, and I apologize, but they know who they are. They make me look good. I even have some makeup put on before the show for some reason. I must be getting old and ugly or something. I don't know what the deal is. But I think that's the first time that's happened in the 14 months.
They're making you look your best.
At the end of this, yeah. The last show they decided to make me up. Figure that out. So I want to thank all them, and I want to thank the studios. And I believe this place is SCC TV. I believe the studio is in White Bear Lake. And they have been very gracious and kind to us. And so apparently we're being shown on 100 stations around the state, actually. And I get people coming up to me now saying, oh, I saw you in Minneapolis, or I was out in Wilmer or whatever, and I saw your show and I love it. So we're preparing now to run for for governor in in the next election cycle. But right now we'll stick to the House.
Good idea, because we have plenty to straighten out.
We have plenty.
There.
Yeah, we got to straighten out the House first.
So you feel good about your chances?
We are winning. Like about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we stopped trying to tell people who we are. And now we just go around and say thank you. And it's been a consistent 70–75% of the people we come across that are ready to vote for us across the district. We got a couple spots where it might be 65%, but it's still a 65% is a victory. And so we're excited about that. And these are people that we're not picking out whether Democrats or Republicans or whatever.
It's not important.
We just go down the street with our bus, and if they're out walking their dogs, mowing their yard, washing their car, we stop and talk to them. And we've gone so much in some areas now that people just wave and say, good luck, Tim, we're voting. Yes, I'm voting for you on November. Go get on to the next person. So let's go talk to my neighbor. So yeah, so we're looking for a victory. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun being in a driver's seat.
Yes, it is.
Versus being an unknown. And we've done this in 20 months. It was barely. And and we've done it on a shoestring budget. So anybody who wants to have somebody in the state house that knows how to tighten their belt and still get things done, then you need to vote for me.
And it is the experience of a lifetime.
Oh, yes. My wife says it's the experience of a lifetime, and she's not so sure that all of those experiences are fun. And sometimes I'm not either. It gets lonely out there, and you can't, as a candidate, it's a whole different world in your family, your immediate family. It's a different world, especially your spouse. They lose you. You're basically sacrificing your family's life to do something different in America. And I look back at our founding fathers, and they all put their family aside. They still loved them, they cared about them, but they cared more about the future of their family than they did their own selves and their own family. And some of these people, like Paul Revere or whatever, he was gone for months and months and months, and his wife said, I don't even know my husband because he's gone so much. And so there's a lot of that going on today. People like us are sacrificing. I'm not gone all the time, but I am gone. I'm not home at home. I'm still in the cities, but Paul would go traipsing off to Connecticut or some other state or whatever. So there's a lot involved in sacrificing.
I was door knocking in Plymouth last week, and dogs were chasing me, and I had a few people who had some voter apathy. They didn't really care about the upcoming election, to which I responded, you should. The politics are touching every aspect of your life, from the roads you drive on to the schools your children go to how much money you have in your pocket. And they looked at me like I was crazy. And but I think part of it will have a lower voter turnout for a midterm election. Do you have any war stories, any stories that happened on the campaign trail that you want to share?
I got about 10,000 war stories. One just happened the other day. We came across a couple that are in their late 20s, early 30s. She's got a medical issue, and she's on Social Security. And we were talking to them, or I was talking to them for about 15, 20 minutes, and her husband got it. He was telling me, it was a pleasure for me to talk to a couple where the couple knew what was going on politically and our finances and the government and whatever else. And they said, what are you going to do for us? I says, nothing. I said, I'm going to give you your liberty and your money back. And when we got all done, they voted their whole life Democrats, and they're going to vote for me in November. Because I was straight up. They said, I want somebody that's going to look me in the eye straight up and say, hey, what's the truth? And that's what people are starving for. And then they need somebody to go down there and actually follow through with it, so when you don't promise anybody anything, it's really easy to go to St. Paul and say no, because you haven't made any promises to your constituents, the voters that have put you in office.
Do you think you'll have any trouble once you get over there? It's such a different environment over there. There are lobbyists everywhere. There are special interest groups. There's so much pressure to balance the budget, to pass legislation that one special interest group or another likes. I just read the League of Cities legislative recommendations. It's 147 pages long.
I'm glad you had time for that, Sue. 'Cause I don't.
It was awful.
Yeah, yeah.
It was awful. I made notes. The Cliff Note version is 10 pages long.
There's 1,100 lobbyists down there at State Capitol of Minnesota spending $60 million a year at the Capitol lobbying. They are there, and I'm going to use them as reference points, not dictating what my policy is. My policy is a state constitution, a federal constitution. That's the only thing I swear an oath to, and that's what I'm going to hold to. I just went to a forum today for transportation funding, and there were 7 candidates up there. At the end, we had a little forum, so they asked a couple questions, and basically both questions, and there were some Republicans up there too, seated representatives. And I stuck out because I didn't answer the question everybody wanted me to say. And I could see in the faces of the audience who were in transportation industry, they didn't like what I had to say. But I said what had to be said.
What did you say that they didn't like?
Well, one of the subjects.
What was the question?
The one question was the issue of bonding, because everybody wants to do a $2 billion bonding. One is the state doesn't have the capacity to even do a $2 billion bond. But I says we can't afford it. The people are strapped. Period. And they said, well, this is the best time because prices are low. There's no best time to borrow money. And frankly, yeah, constitutionally we can borrow money. But when is it smart? And it's not smart right now. Because our kids have to pay that off. Our grandkids have to pay that off.
Remember these words. Cheap money isn't free money.
It still costs you money.
Yes.
It still costs.
Yes, and it drives me absolutely crazy. No matter what district I go to, the person on the left side of the aisle is telling us we need more bonding. You got Mark Dayton, part of his budget solution as the governor, more bonding. Same with the independent guy. We've got to stop this bonding.
And in order to stop bonding and still state function, it has to spend money, it has to raise taxes. And constitutionally, we are obligated as a state to take care of infrastructure. And that doesn't mean choo-choo trains and bike trails. I'm talking about infrastructure, roads and bridges. That's what's in our Constitution. And I said today, I'll raise the sales tax on gas tax if it's needed, because that's the obligation. Or we can go borrow money or not fix our roads. What do you want to do? Those are your 3 choices. I prefer to pay as I go, because if you pay as you go, it's paid for. It's not, and a lot of what I heard today is we got infrastructure that's falling apart because in the process of bonding and all the other things we've done for 20, 30 years, we haven't given the capacity for maintenance and repair. So now we want to bond to do the repairing that we should have had built into our original construction project.
Let me tell you, we have, what's the transportation budget, 1.5 billion?
Something like that.
Something like that?
Yeah, it's up there.
Yep, it's up there, and you get 800 million from the gas tax, which is about a quarter.
Right.
You get $700 million from the vehicle sales
tax,
whatever that thing is.
And half of that goes to
light rail
light rail and everything else, yeah.
That is plenty of money.
Yes.
That is plenty of
Yes.
money. It's just not, you just don't have your priorities in order when you're over the people in
Right.
St. Paul. It drives me absolutely crazy. We don't need to raise that gas tax. We spent $100 million on a highway down in southern Minnesota. I call it the highway to nowhere.
Yeah, you told me about that.
You know, $100 million for a highway to pay back some political favor for a vote is appalling.
Right, and that happens way too much in St. Paul.
It happens all the time.
Right.
I was just up in St. Cloud. I saw a road that got stimulus money. It was shovel ready. Stimulus money went to build the road to nowhere.